Mongoose Jake here with my next episode in my series Overlooked and Underrated Blasters. And this time it's going to be actually a pair of blasters from what is most likely my favorite company in the hobby, that's Buzz-Bee. And the ones that I'm going to be including here are the Reaper and the Champion. As you can see, they have matching color schemes. Now, why would I include two, basically two for the price of one in a video form? Why? Because they share the same exact internals. They share the same performance. The only thing different is, well, the aesthetics, as in the form factor, and one benefit per blaster. I'll get to that more later. But this is also going to be a video to kick off what I'm going to call my Buzz-Bee week. I actually had this idea for a while, and I want to dedicate the next week to only videos based around Buzz-Bee products. So you're going to see a video per night, actually. That's going to be a lot of work for me, but I'm going to actually put out one video per day, and it will all be featuring a different Buzz-Bee blaster every day. So for the next week, stay tuned for Buzz-Bee blasters. With that out of the way, we're going to get on to the reason why I say these are an overlooked and underrated blaster. And I'm saying these is one. Because again, the internals are the same. I have had these apart multiple times. These actually share the internals with also the Tactical Storm and the Interceptor and Thermal Hunter. There's very, very little changes. Very few changes. The breech and plunger tube is basically the same. And that's why when I put you over the chronograph, you're going to see I use this basically just because the barrel makes it much easier to get lined up with my chronograph and fire. But I'll go ahead and put you over the chronograph because we're going to go ahead and get the performance of these out of the way. Now, coming back, you'll see that the Champion, which I have chronographed, I own two Reapers as well, I've chronographed all of them. And there is no variation. The fact is like I said, they use the same internals and they hit between the mid-70s to the low 80s. Now, you've seen there, I was able to get my chronograph to read the, I was using Raytheon, also known as RaySquad, I was using their APQ copies. So, and it reads, my chronograph has turned out to read them really well. So I will probably continue to use them from here on, at least in part, because it does read those darts very well. And I was able to get a lot of shots on there with zero errors. Now, the fact is these are small. These are small blasters, and they're putting out a serious punch. So performance-wise, these things are a massive bang for the buck type blaster. And these have been out long enough that now you're seeing them. These aren't one of their flagship models, and they're going to be on clearance. You're going to see them in thrift stores, Goodwills, whatnot, yard sales even. So you're going to be able to pick these up cheap. So that's great. But for my personal review, the fact is they have a lot of performance in a small package. Now, what makes them different? Well, they're both top prime. They're both green and yellow in this case. Now, the Reaper was sold through Walmart with a, in my personal taste, odd color scheme, but we'll leave that one out. They're both top prime. Neither one have stock attachment points. You can, however, mount this on a sling through the trigger guard, or you can also hook, and I do this, you can even dual wield these. You can actually hook a lanyard through this, hook it around your shoulder, throw it over your neck, and prime by pushing away from your body. That is something you can do with this, you cannot do with the Champion. So, much like people do with strong arms and disruptors from Nerf, you can dual wield them by pushing away, have a dual lanyard system, push them away from your body, and then I typically will touch them back to my shoulder to make sure that the slide engages, and then you can fire. Very nice. So that's an advantage if you go to the Reaper. Now, of course, it has different looks, and you may like the look of the Reaper quite well. So what's the benefit? I said each one has one benefit over the other. Due to the shape of the Reaper, and I'll pick it up again here, due to the shape of the shell, where it has this nice sweeping line here, this cannot take drums. They bump the shell. I mean, you could hacksaw away a big chunk of it. Why would you do that? That's a very nice looking shell that paints well. So, and I do plan to actually paint the other one, because I don't like the colors of that anyways. But I'm going to paint the other one, and that'll be a mod in the future. I'm going to put a 7 kilogram spring in it, paint it up, make it look real nice. And that'll be one of my personals. So what does this have over it? Well, I just said that the Reaper cannot take a drum. Well, due to this nice clean shell here, which if you like the basic look, this can take Nerf drums. And it takes them easily. It handles both the 25 and 35 round drums. Or if you have the old 18 rounds, it'll actually accept all drums, which is very, very nice. And again, it's hitting performance of a lightly modded Nerf blaster. I say if you just slap a 7 kilogram spring in your Nerf Retaliator, they generally will hit around in the 80s or so. Well, this does it stock. This is 100% stock, no air restrictor removal, no spring mod, nothing yet. I have not tore these apart, and you can find these for under 10 bucks. So my criteria for reviews: performance. Again, Buzby. Buzby blasters hit around high 70s to 80s stock. This is no different. Now, functionality. How easy is it to use? Well, it's a top prime. Buzby blasters do not use heavy springs. A child can prime this. My 8-year-old can. She can grab it and prime it. Because they are not relying on high spring loads to get power. They rely on high air volume to get power. So, spring loads, and that's when you hear the kilogram ratings, that is your spring load rating. Spring load increases if you take the stock spring out and slap in a 7 kilogram Retaliator spring, which these accept. That's the thing. Buzby blasters accept Retaliator springs. So you throw a 7 kilogram spring in here, pop out the air restrictor. Again, I have video documented proof this interceptor hits 140 feet per second. More comfortable saying 130, but it has hit 140 on camera with Buzby Precise Pros. Because my test was with AccuCopies over here on the Champion. You put in Buzby Precise Pros, they do bump that performance up just slightly, about a 5 to 10 feet per second increase over the AccuCopies. Better air seal, better dart profile, so on and so forth. But 7 kilogram spring, pop out the air restrictor, and you're going to see over 100 feet per second out of this. That's cheap modifications. And like I said, with the functionality, it's ultra easy to use because because the stock prime weights are low. Everybody can prime this. I mean, if you want to, just take out the locks, take out the air restrictor, and leave it stock. Everybody can use it, and taking out the air restrictor will bump up a few feet per second. So, my last thing, I already said performance, it has it. Functionality, easy to use, basic functions. It's no frills, just works. Value. The value of the Reaper or the Champion, whichever form factor you prefer, the value of these is insane. This I bought brand new at Kmart. They no longer have the package, but I've been using this one personally for over a year. I bought it, it came with 2 magazines, it came with double amount of darts for $11. That's insane, because they had the same plunger tube, plunger, spring, everything. They're both hitting 75 to 85 feet per second, so around, just say high 70s, low 80s. Both hitting that, and I picked this up with the same magazine, had an 8-round magazine. I picked this up for $6. Let that sink in. I picked it up at a Dollar General, it was on clearance, and I paid $6 for my Champion. And it stock blows a Retaliator out of the water. So, performance, it has it better than its competitors. Function, both are very easy to use, both are simple. Everybody you can hand these off to, they'll figure it out within less than a 30-second time frame. And the value is insane. I can't say much more, so I won't. The Buzby Champion and the Buzby Reaper two extremely overlooked blasters that you're going to be able to find way cheaper than the retail price. Like I said, I paid $11 for this with 2 magazines and double the darts. I got 1 magazine with this, and which is the identical yellow Busby magazine. And it also came with double the amount of darts for that magazine for $6 on clearance. You're going to find them now hanging around Goodwills and other thrift stores. You're going to see them at yard sales. You might find them on the shelves of some stores and clearances, because these are not the flagship models anymore, because the Tactical Storm and the Interceptor and Thermal Hunter have replaced these. So look for them at insanely good deals. But these, so far, are two of the most overlooked and underrated blasters that I have in my collection, and I think more people should know about them. If you're on a budget and you want something that can perform straight out of the package, here you go. Take your choice, whether you want drum usage, or maybe you like the looks of the Reaper, and you like the fact that you can mount a lanyard and prime it single-handedly. That's a benefit in and of itself, but both are completely cross-compatible with all magazines. I was actually using a Worker 22 mag for my chronograph session, and this will take drums, this will not. Keep that in mind. But other than that, they are identical blasters function-wise, other than the drum compatibility. But this is Mongish Jake with my latest episode of Overlooked and Underrated Blasters, featuring Busby Champion and the Reaper. 2 for 1. But I thank you for watching, hope you enjoy it.